Do you really need the Alcoholics Anonymous meetings to stay sober long term? Well, you probably already know my nickel's worth, but I'll explain why and what I do to stay sober long term versus hanging out in a continuous circle of negativity. It is a sad fact that once a former alcoholic enters the doors of the rooms, there is a huge chance that he isn't going to stay sober long term with their methods. First, they inform the newly sober that there's no such thing as a former alcoholic. You're always diseased and always in never-ending recovery. This may be true for the majority who continue to relapse over and over, which is the majority of Alcoholics Anonymous participants. But what about those who do stay sober? I have stated, as well as other creators of blogs and vlogs, that AA is more of a high control group than a support group. They don't want you to leave. They believe that one must continue to go to meetings since, after all, the recovery is ongoing. They contend you are there to serve what I deem as a cult. Many of these other content creators are escapees from this cult of the rooms. They interview other former members of AA who once walked the trail of the 12 steps, some of them for over a decade, and they all report the same thing, that AA attempts to coerce you into never leaving the cult. They use peer pressure and fear tactics on members attempting to flee. Have you ever heard a conversation from two members of the rooms if one of them's having a bad day? Maybe there's an incident at work. Maybe the person lost his job, or possibly the family dog had to be put down. But whatever the problem is with the person, whether work, marital, or just a depressive episode, the answer is always the same. We need to go to a meeting. Ah yes, the rooms solve all. Having a bad day? Go to a meeting and talk to your sponsor. Getting divorced? Run to the circle. Lost your house in a hurricane? That's okay, the cookie table waits right after the serenity prayer. The one thing that all the members of AA know is that the permanently diseased can't handle the life the rest of us handle without the embrace of their cult. The meetings answer all. Why? I have stated in other works that if AA would simply change its protocols, it could be very beneficial to those who want to live for the rest of their lives in the land of the sober. I have written exactly what they should modify and much of what needs to be eliminated completely from their methods and philosophy. For the pundits certainly can't say that what they've been doing since the program was created has worked. And one of the major modifications should be transforming AA into a temporary safe haven in the initial and protracted withdrawal stages that is used for a base for reconstruction of the former addict's entire being. The plan I endorse lasts for up to 2 years, which is when the neurochemistry is rebalanced to live without alcohol for the remaining days of the former alcoholic. During these 2 years, there should be a weaning off of the frequency of meetings. The meeting should have never been the go-to answer for every one of life's problems that land on the doorstep. I have seen in the comments coming from the proponents of AA that the methods of the rooms is what keeps them sober. No, it hasn't. The credit of the person who ceases his friendship with John Barleycorn belongs to that person solely. There's only one party who can change his status of alcoholic, and that's the alcoholic. Mantras do not keep you sober. 12 steps do not keep you sober. Neither the Serenity Prayer nor the Big Book keeps you sober. Long-term sobriety doesn't come from your sponsor or the other members in the circle. It comes from the person who stopped putting the bottle to his lips. That's it, and that's all. This is what I would ask the AA member who suggests that going to meetings keeps one sober. You know, the mantra of it works if you work the program, apparently for life. The meetings are about an hour long, give or take. What keeps you sober the other 23 hours of the day? If you are years sober, you wake up in sobriety, go through your day in sobriety, and come home from work with sobriety. Why do you suddenly have to bounce off to a meeting to finish the day sober? What, suddenly you can't control yourself for the rest of the evening? You need the reinforcement of the rooms to make it to bedtime? Now, I said in previous articles I could see a more modified AA post-detox program in the very beginning. I could see going every night in the first 2 months when those initial cravings are at the worst. One could begin to downgrade the frequency as the transformation of self begins. There is no way that someone past 6 months should be needing nightly meetings, and definitely not at 2 years when protracted withdrawal is over. I went to AA at 11 months sober to see what it was about. I wanted to see if they had anything else to offer in my reinvention of self. They not only didn't, but had nothing but toxicity and the feeling of a cult attempting to draw me into lifelong membership. They were shocked when I said it was my first meeting and I was 11 months clean. They were more offended in a meeting when I said I was a former alcoholic. But why would I need to go to meetings this long sober? The cravings were minimal at 11 months and had been greatly reduced at the 6-month mark of sobriety. I was on a 5-day-a-week fitness program. I was meditating, doing Tai Chi for 20 minutes a day. I was involved in hiking and fishing in those idle hours. And more importantly, I was fixing what caused the addiction trap in the first place. What exactly were AA meetings going to add to this great reconstruction of all my planes of being? One advocate for the rooms told me at even 5 years sober that AA is there to teach me how to live. I hope she reads this article. My life is completely filled with positive activities, and hers is living in the rooms, regurgitating her past most nights. That's not living, it's an existence of the living dead. If you want to continue to be sober, all you have to do is continue not putting that bottle to your lips. This is far simpler than mantras, steps, and circle story time. It is very apparent that the long-term members of the rooms are still struggling with the want to drink. It is apparent they are sacrificing their lives to exist in this never-ending recovery. How many times have you heard one of their members state, "I know I'm sober today, but can't tell you about tomorrow. I'm going to die sober. I don't think about it, I know it for an absolute fact. I made an ironclad contract with the universe on January 22nd, 2009 that I would end it with John Barleycorn. I not only was never going to drink alcohol, but once the haze of the first 45 days cleared, I was determined to recreate all of my planes, the physical, emotional, career, and spiritual realms. I was walking out of the inferno that I had been living in, not only with alcohol, but from the darkness that had been with me since adolescence. But what about those stressful times in life? Whatever did I do since I forewent the rooms in which I never returned? Since then, I watched a friend who was more like a brother die from cancer, literally watched his final breath. Another friend of the gypsy soulmate type also died young. Then my mother died from cancer, which brought all those black adolescent memories back for months after she passed. I've been battling a corrupt profession of physical therapy since I was an alcoholic and continued long after I wasn't. How in the world am I making it without running to the meetings? I continue to remain sober because I now have a fortress that is impenetrable. As said, I am on a fitness regime about 5 days a week and on daily meditative practice. I spend time in nature-type activities, and I have side projects for the progression of self like this content. I learned to invest in the stock market long and short term, which continues to only make me more financially free. I don't have time for meetings. But with this fortress, John Barleycorn can never enter the doors again. When bad times come, as they do for everyone, I ride them out just like everyone else and keep the original contract to never touch alcohol again. Here's what going to a meeting will offer if you are long time sober. It isn't going to pump you up like a Tony Robbins seminar. You won't walk out of the doors feeling good and strong. You will get reminded again that you were always an addict, always deficit, and forever diseased. And you will relive your past and others' past in the circle, telling your story for about the 1000th time. Wouldn't it be better if you had a bad day to go to the gym or take a long walk, possibly meditate for a half hour after a vegetable and fruit smoothie? That's what I do, and that's why I don't feel the need to drink when those dark times of life descend. The grand lie that AA has indoctrinated you with is that you need these meetings to remain sober, as those very meetings continue to show a massive failure rate. They tell you the rooms are where you need to be when life throws a road bump at you. What I'm saying is not only do you not need these rooms, but they are actually harmful for not just recovery toward cure, but holding you back from living the best version of yourself. So the next time you're having a not so great day and thinking about alcohol, consider what this meeting is actually going to do for you. And then go on a run. If you found this content helpful, go ahead and subscribe and follow along. And check out my own personal reinvention on a 2,600-mile trek, The Shepherd and the Running Wolf, The Path to Forgiveness on the Pacific Crest Trail. Link is in the description, usually free on KDP. And keep your contract. Be sober at sundown, and I will see you at the next sunrise.